Hello, everyone, and welcome to another Double Stuff podcast where we're double the hosts, double the topics, and double the fun. And I'm Alan.
I'm Sarah.
I'm Dan.
I'm Jenny.
Nice.
You like that, Alan?
That's right. Now we got to figure out what it is we're going to be talking about. Sarah, go ahead and let us know what our topics are.
Yes, we have a lot to choose from today. So the first topic is useless knowledge. And that is based off of episode 31, Dispatch the Possum.
Okay.
It's my nickname.
Don't forget, Double Stuff podcast comes out every
Another
Wednesday
rap
at
name of yours?
11:45.
It'd be called Just Possum. Or is it Just Dispatch?
It's
I wasn't sure.
Nada Nips Dispatch the Possum. That's his full title.
I was thinking of useless knowledge, but yeah, we'll go with that.
And the second one is Why Are Words Spelled or Pronounced That Way? Which is based off of episode 80, Uncle and Antediluvian. That was our spelling bee episode.
That was a fun one.
That was an embarrassing time
I
for me.
enjoyed that. I enjoyed it because I
won.
didn't have to spell anything until the end.
I won.
That's
It was
right,
pretty
you did.
awesome for me.
That's right. Yeah, Alan somehow won in his
I did.
mind.
I
Yeah.
In his
spelled
mind.
it.
I was like, I remember Sarah winning, but
So we got to go back and check the tape.
All right. Well, speaking of useless knowledge, like who won? What do you guys have for useless knowledge?
I mean, I got tons of Star Wars trivia that's pretty much pointless.
I got a college degree that I barely used.
Well, let's start with charity.
Oh, we are starting with me.
Sure, why not?
Oh, no, let's not start with me.
Okay, well then let Dan talk about his Star Wars.
I thought it was just a generic question.
Okay.
Oh, is that what it was? You weren't ready to be pitched to? You didn't
No,
have
I
any
didn't
useless
know I was going
knowledge
to
on
have
hand?
to list my lack of accomplishments.
Well, see, I have been more into Star Wars, recently since it was May the 4th, not too long ago.
That's right.
So, I could start out with an easy little piece of trivia. Really useless knowledge, I guess, can also be considered trivia in a lot of cases. But who all is familiar? I don't remember if we've talked much about Star Wars, but have you all seen the movies?
About Star Wars.
I talk about Star
I think we
Wars all
talked
the
about
time.
more video games, but I guess it kind of segues into
kinda
I have
segues
nothing to
into
say on
it.
Star Wars. I've only seen bits and pieces and not in the right order.
Okay,
of
so
any
you've
kind.
never seen like Return of the Jedi, for example.
Nope.
Oh,
I
yeah.
know who
No?
acts in the movie, but like I can't tell you anything about the movie.
But you can still tell us because I know a lot of the listeners are probably Star Wars fans.
So that's so fun. So one of like the kind of go-to trivia questions that's a little easy, but it's still kind of fun is Jabba has a little minion, and he has a name, and his name is Salacious B. Crumb.
Salacious B. Crumb.
Yep.
Is that significant in any
Not
way?
really. It's just a very silly thing because what happened was at Star Wars in particular is that you have a bunch of characters in background scenes.
Yeah, that's right.
And when
Like the cantina scene,
exactly,
whatever.
and when Mattel or I can't remember who made like the original figures, right?
Sounds
When they
right.
started running out of all the main characters, they just started making figures of all those characters you see in the
Oh.
background, and they all had to have names and
Yeah.
all that stuff. So
and people had to have them.
oh,
too.
absolutely,
Yeah.
yep. So there's tons of trivia for different
I
characters.
remember
That's crazy.
I had a buddy that had that whole scene from Return of the Jedi, which was Jabba the Hutt, and if you turned his tail, the pit would flow.
The Rancor pit,
The
like
Rancor
trap.
pit, well, yeah, would fall through. So that was really fun.
That's fantastic.
We'd put all kinds of GI Joes and He-Man on it. Right? Nope. Right into the pit.
No, so that's my useless knowledge for the
You
for the
brought back
episode.
a cheerful memory for me. So thank you.
Good. Hey, I'm glad.
Yeah.
I've only got there's only a couple that come to mind that I had written down, but I know that for Dr. Pepper, because Dr. Pepper's been around since like the 1800s, they had to take the period off of Dr. Pepper because a lot of people thought that it was like an actual doctor like prescribing this carbonated beverage.
Is it not?
I mean, not to my knowledge.
Okay.
Wait a second. So are we just calling it? Are we just saying DR is now pronounced doctor?
DR
if it's not an
Pepper.
abbreviation.
Yeah,
for...
if you look, there's no period in doctor anymore. And I'm
interesting.
assuming that happened probably at the turn of the century or thereabout.
Okay.
So, yeah, because I thought it was a real doctor.
Oh, okay.
But there
And
probably is a period after Mr. Pibb.
That's a good one. I don't know.
Yeah.
I guess Der Pepper was not a appropriate
Pepper,
name.
or-
They couldn't
or-
sell that one.
Another rap name.
or DR Peps. That's another one it goes. And then the other one I remember from long time ago, and because most of us use Macintosh computers, the like if something freezes up or is trying to buffer that little circular thing, it's called a throbber.
Really?
It's called a throbber. I randomly
The spinning beach ball.
the spinning beach ball is called a throbber.
Oh.
Yeah.
You learned something new.
So,
did, yeah.
I mean, it's a weird thing to say in the sentence like, oh, it looks like my throbber's going.
Yeah, I don't want to say that around
No.
new people.
That sounds like more after hours content.
I think that's why they were saying it. But yeah, I don't remember where I heard that. I think it was either on a or maybe it was a radio show. They were just giving off some, like what we're doing, giving off useless information. That was one of them. And that just stuck with me after, I don't know, 10 years or so.
Yeah.
That's interesting.
So that's, at the moment, at the top of my head, those are the only two main things.
Well, before I bring in some others, Charity, do you want to, just off the top of your head, do you got anything?
Sure. So I do know that Montpelier, Vermont is the only U.S. capital without a McDonald's.
What?
Yeah. Or it doesn't have a Burger King either. And I don't know if it has to do with like, okay, this is a total guess on my part, but since the population's so small, like
How small is it?
the smallest state capital in terms of population is approximately 7,500.
7,500 people?
Yeah,
for
surely,
a capital, that's
Says that's
yeah.
pretty small.
surely none of them like burgers.
Still slightly bigger than my hometown,
I
but
mean, it says you have to go to like the neighboring city, but I don't know.
Oh, interesting.
we only eat flapjacks here.
actually, that's
in
kind of
Vermont.
weird. My
with
town, when I
maple
grew up,
syrup.
had 5,000 people, and it had a McDonald's.
Yeah, of course
It closed, but it had a McDonald's.
That's
and then it had a
probably
Wendy's in place of it, and then that just closed. And now it has a Taco Bell.
Is that still
Nice.
open?
It's still open for now.
For now, yeah. Well, I was gonna say, like for chains especially, they probably want like
Something
certain-
substantial.
Well, yeah, like a decent amount of people because of what Dan just said. Of even though it's a popular chain, if there's not enough people frequenting it or whatever, then they'll close down.
I wonder
That's
if the
the
good people of McDonald's are like, "Hey, boss, we got all 50 capitals in the U.S. with McDonald's, not Mount Pilar,
Mount Pilar.
Montpelier? I can't read it. What is it? Montpelier?
not Mount Pilier. Why? Why, boss? Why?
he made a new
Don't ask
monument.
questions. Not that one.
It's kind of a claim to fame, though, right? Like, if it would feel wrong to go ahead and put one in there now,
Oh,
like a
yeah.
McDonald's, because then you would take that away from the good people of Mount Plier. Vermont.
Sorry, Vermont.
Thank you.
I kind of like Mount Flyer.
Mount Flyer.
Pilar. Oh my gosh, you guys! All three of you have said it wrong.
I said it right to correct
Mint
him. Now
popular?
I'm trying to Montyplexus. I don't know.
Well, here's something that is a little bit of useless knowledge, but hopefully it doesn't turn into some sort of earwig or something like that. But the next time you're watching an advertisement or come across a print advertisement for a watch, see where the hands are facing, because in most cases, the hour and hand, they might flip-flop, but it's usually around 10:10 or they're positioned at 2:50. Now, why would that be?
I think it just looks nice. Like you see where the placements of the hands
It's
are.
like
You
the
see,
hands doing the YMCA song,
Yeah.
little dance to it.
it's like it's not quite a straight line. Like if you were to do 3 o'clock, that maybe is too much of a right angle, but it's a little bit. So I guess 10 till 3 looks a lot better than 3 o'clock. I guess
yeah.
I mean, it's got to be more of how it looks. It's more of
Yeah.
an aesthetic versus it has to be 10 past or 2. You know, I'm assuming it just looks cooler that way.
So for like movie sets, when they have a clock, they don't put the battery in it, right? Because they probably want to keep it at a certain time for consistency.
Depends on probably the type of clock.
Yeah.
You know, I mean, like if you had a manual one with hands, probably so.
Yeah.
If you had a digital one, you'd have to just keep resetting it
that's
after
true.
every take.
Yeah.
Or it's one of those things, when they synchronize, it's like, okay, we're gonna meet here at 3 o'clock, and then they
Yeah.
synchronize it, and it's at 2:50.
That's the job I wanted to do with script supervisor.
Yeah.
I was like,
Like where you
is that the
go
time
in
you want to
Yes.
synchronize people's
Where
watches?
you have to like just synchronize
Continuity,
everything. Yeah, continuity.
Yeah.
That's an important job.
I know,
is.
it's crazy.
Especially when there's a party scene or something and there's a glass of something that's being drunken out of,
Yeah. Done been
Drinked out
drunk.
of?
Drinked.
drinked. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
You know, where it's the levels are increasing and decreasing with every cut.
And the smart continuity person gives you cups that you can't see through.
That's
Yeah.
right.
So
That's
that way
right.
you don't have to
Red
worry about
Solos.
that.
But
Everybody's
yet-
red
But
Solos.
I hate it when the cups are
Are
empty
empty.
because I tease Hallmark movies about this all the time because especially at Christmas they'll
The
do like
coffee cups.
oh, it's so cold, let's get a coffee,
Uh-huh.
and like the coffee cup is completely empty, especially when there's like the busy businesswoman who's
That's
like,
right.
I'm carrying 7 coffees for my boss and her
Right.
friends. And I'm like, if that coffee was hot and like as heavy as a you know,
Right.
one of those trays would
Yeah.
hold, you're not going to sit there and run downtown New York.
Yeah.
and find your
It's
hands.
immediately handed to the actress, and she immediately like throws it back and like, oh, that's just what I
As,
need.
as if she's,
No
she's,
reaction.
she's lost all the nerve
Yeah,
endings
with,
in her
like,
mouth. She's like,
with no sleeve, and like she's just holding a hot cup of coffee, and they'll take this really long drink. And I'm like, okay.
see, I was like, at least put water in it to give it some weight.
And sometimes
you know?
they don't swallow. You ever watch it? They like tip the cup, and then they just hold it to their lips, and then they put the cup down. I'm like, okay, can you at least pretend like you're drinking?
They have no reflexes at all. It's just,
Well, here's something that might be a little bit squeamish.
oh.
But did you know that your stomach has to produce a new layer of mucus every 2 weeks? Otherwise, it will digest itself.
Really?
A little
Oh.
bit of
It's like
medical.
a monster, like in a
Interesting.
drive-in movie. Those old like those monsters.
The attack of the
You have
gastric
a living
mucus.
blob inside you.
Just comes out like Alien.
I mean, I guess that does make sense. Because it's just a bunch of acid. So yeah, it has to have something, or it
Gotta
is
have
going to eat
something to
through.
break down, or it's gonna break you down.
Yeah.
So how many of you guys have said that you'll be back in a jiffy, or you've used the word jiffy before?
Yeah, I think I have.
So apparently jiffy is actually a real period of time. It's a trillionth of a second.
No
Oh,
way.
Really?
Yeah, which I didn't know, because I feel like a jiffy is like, you know, a skosh or a smidge. Like
Yeah,
it's
right.
Just, it's just a well-known like small moment of time. But a jiffy is actually a unit of time, and it's 1/trillionth of a second. Sometime during the late 18th or early 19th century, a scientist defined it as such.
I feel like that makes everybody who uses it a liar. Because there's no
That's
way they're
true.
going to be back in that short a
you have
period
to
of
say,
time.
I will be back in exactly 3.5 seconds. No more, no less. You know, you have to like give yourself some really specific parameters.
Jiffy.
That is kind of interesting, though, like with how we measure things in a jiffy, in a minute, in a second, a skosh, a smidge. You know, it's amazing how you use that in measurement of either time or pieces.
And
or-
even in units of measurement, too.
Yeah.
I mean, who ever knew about what a terabyte was until terabytes were needed, you know?
Yeah.
yeah.
Like, what is a tera anything?
Just like making stuff up at that point.
Exactly.
But we
Yeah.
all know what it is. Like in our mind, if someone's like, "Hey, just give me a move over a smidge," like
Yeah.
It's a little bit.
precisely just a little bit of room you're supposed to move
Yeah.
over.
Yeah, nobody's like, I get what you're saying, and then leaves the room.
Or they pull out like a measuring tape and they measure
like
like
a Mary Poppins. Perfectly.
I moved over a smidge. This is a perfect smidge.
In a most delightful way.
Yeah, exactly. Well, and speaking of smidge, let's talk about words that are weirdly spelled or pronounced, because smidge could be considered one of those. I was locked in the other day on the word sold. So there's a spot that I've been putting together that has like an animated sold sign.
Oh,
Sold.
okay.
Everybody knows how to spell sold. After I had done this for about several, I've been working on this project and updating it over the course of several months. All of a sudden, sold looked completely wrong.
Yes. Yes.
It looked completely wrong. And then I brought up a web browser and then typed in the word sold
Yes.
and just to verify that I'm not misspelling a very simple word, S-O-L-D.
I
Does
feel
that
like-
ever happen?
Okay,
I feel
yes.
like most of my Google history, if you were to search it, there's nothing like gross or inappropriate. It's all really normal words. Like, how the heck do I spell separate?
You're like sold
Solded?
Yeah,
Sold
it didn't look right at all.
Yeah. Okay. Yes. I always thought I was the only one that felt that way. I feel that way with the word the. There's just something about why does the T and the H and the E, why when you put
Probably
those
because
together?
most people pronounce it the, and so you would think that you would need to put an extra E in there. Like maybe does that throw you off or something?
Well,
I don't know.
I see what you're saying. Like people, like why is there an extra P in there? Like a lot of old English, like carryover
Yeah.
and thing
Well,
like
you have
that.
to have two P's in people.
yeah.
Yeah. Oh no! What was it?
No, are you
Yeah,
sure?
is
people.
it people or is it the O? I can't remember. Maybe
like
it's
I
the
don't know.
O.
You said why is there? He
I
said
did
two
say
P's
P.
in people.
I did
was
say
like,
P,
where
but
else would
maybe
you
I'm
put
talking
it?
about
Okay.
like the O.
Oh,
but-
the O and people.
People.
Yeah, people.
Piople.
Yeah, and like why? What's the use of having O? In
Okay,
there?
so like iron.
Yeah.
Right.
Iron.
Iron.
Yeah.
Ironic.
Yeah.
It only works if you're saying ironic or if you're
Irony.
Ironic. It's the only works if you're using it in not iron, like ironing something.
I do know when I'm sending out emails or documents and stuff to people, normally when I type, I can just type without thinking too hard.
Right.
But there are certain words where I have to stop and like literally talk to myself out loud and spell it. Like usually I stumble on available or unavailable. I know I mentioned separate because it's AR. I used to get that wrong.
Oh yeah.
Definitely. Or embarrassed. Like there's just some words that we use all the time, but then you're like, okay, let me make sure I know how to spell it. Or necessary, that's probably another one.
For me, it's the word through, though, and thorough. Because you have to put the O's and the R's.
I just get my best guess on that.
Yeah.
You can get it from context
Yeah.
if I'm writing that down.
Well, and we have a development department and develops all like that too. There's like no E in between develop and mint. It's just
Oh yeah,
develop and then mint. And
Yeah.
I've always added, until I started working here, an extra E in between the P and the M.
It's like development.
Yeah.
Well,
But
I turned in a video last week and it had the word acknowledgement in it.
Oh.
And I put
yeah.
an extra E in it and I already exported and I sent it. I was like, crap, there's no E in it. But I looked it up. So, like, if you're in the UK, you'll use that extra E.
See, it's
Oh, like
if you're in
familiar.
America, they won't use the E. So,
So
I was
you-
like,
it's like, the British
I'm right.
version.
So if you send that video to England, I am set.
It is true. Like you have words like flavor or something. And
Color.
and it's like the OUR versus just OR.
Yeah.
like that King James.
How do you guys spell gray? Is it EY or AY?
See, that's
I always
a good
spell
one.
it EY.
I like it
Oh,
with
I
it.
do
I like
the
I like
AY.
I like
Do you?
AY. I like
I do.
AY. Yeah.
But they're both acceptable, and
That's the thing,
and uncontestable, which is weird. I mean, it is a very weird language. Yeah.
It is.
I think the thing is with the English
But we
language.
muddle through.
Well, with the English language, I think we've combined other countries together into this one.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
So that's why we have weird pronunciations and letter placements
we do
and
what we
symbols.
want. We just spell it the way we want.
Yeah,
to
it's
spell
like
it.
it's like you scramble them all up. It's like you take a Scrabble bag, you shake them all up, spill out like a word.
I was
A word
thinking
has
about
been
this
born.
before when we were talking about that because like terabyte, megabyte, gigabyte, it's all
Yeah.
nonsense.
Yeah.
Or like anytime you watch a pharmaceutical company and
Yeah.
you were just like, somebody just took a magnetic
Yes.
whiteboard, took letters and just threw them out there
Yeah.
like flaxen.
Rossiterran.
I personally think so because I'm like, surely that's not a real word. Like I said before, you just took a Scrabble bag, threw it, and they're like, that's our new medical,
I think there is method to that madness, and how it was explained to me is it needs to be so clearly ridiculous that a pharmacist can clearly identify one thing from the next.
Is that what it is?
That's how it was explained to me. It made sense at the time, so I'll roll with that.
That's kind of all words, right? Like, because all words are just kind of made up. So as long as you
mean,
get
yeah.
a couple people to use
weird,
it,
too,
you
when
got
we
to work.
when we start to like incorporate different culture food in, and I'm just thinking, growing up, like I thought that jalapenos were jalapenos.
Oh, yeah.
And the first time that I walked into a Chipotle, it was a Chipotle.
Oh,
I
really?
was like, yeah, have you guys seen the new Chipotle? They sell burritos in there really good.
Burritos.
Yeah.
People say Chipotle too.
You're like, I want to go
yeah.
to
One of
Chipotle
those.
and get a quesadilla with jalapenos.
I'm not doing that,
We're
but,
not serving it here.
but I really want some fajitas. That's what
Well, speaking of food and stuff that's spelled weird, so during Christmas time, I only bought it because it's such a cool word. So there's like these like gingerbread, like glazed gingerbread things, and it's called a Pfeffernüsse.
Okay.
Yeah, those
Bless
are
you.
gross.
Yeah, I know. And I was so curious because I was like, what the heck is a
It
Pfeffernüsse?
sounds like an execution of like a pixie or a gnome or
That sounds
something.
like something that we should have in
to the
after hours.
Pfeffernüsse.
I don't think you're allowed to say that anymore. This is a PG show.
No, but the way you spell it is Pfeffernüsse, and it's the U with the two dots.
Is
That's
that,
just
Is
nonsense.
that German or Swiss or
I think it's German.
German?
So Pfeffernüsse. But I was at the store and I just saw, I was like, what an interesting word. And so I mainly bought them because I like the way it was spelled. I know.
Who cares how they taste? It could taste
Honestly,
like
they didn't
poop for all
taste.
you know.
They didn't taste too bad, but I just bought it because I
I
just
thought
wanted.
they were
Pfeffernüsse.
disgusting.
Yeah, I just wanted to say that I ate Pfeffernüsse and I'm proud of it.
That sounds like you could do like a swear word though. Like you smash your thumb with a hammer. Like Pfeffernüsse.
It
Like
does.
you.
Well,
Yeah, I
if you
think you could.
if you
start
look at
using
certain
that.
old movies, for that they say sassafras.
Okay.
Sassafras.
And so when you hear them bleep it, you can read it like, oh, that's sassafras.
Is sassafras the way it's spelled? Sassafras?
I think so, and like
Sassafras.
Sassafras. Sarsaparilla. That's what I was trying to say.
Sarsaparilla.
But sarsaparilla has SAR. It's like sarsaparilla, but it's sarsaparilla. The R is silent, I guess. Same thing with Vichyssoise. You guys ever have Vichyssoise?
Yeah, well, that's French.
I'm a man.
Wow, okay, Alan.
I don't know what it is. I don't either.
Apparently, it's some kind of like soup, like a potato.
Soup, yeah.
But apparently, it's a soup that you serve cold.
It's a cold soup.
Oh,
It is a
like
cold
soup.
ceviche or gazpacho.
Gazpacho, yeah. But I originally had it the way it was spelled. It's spelled Vichyssoise. So I think it is French.
Yeah, it is French.
So, but yeah, so for some reason I have the word Pfeffernüsse and Vichyssoise kind of circling in my head for the past few months. And so now I got to use it in the episode.
Yeah. Well,
You've been waiting 2 years
Yeah.
for this moment.
I don't know how we can top that as far as weird and ridiculous pronunciations and words. So if we've missed any and you have one that
missed a lot.
that you want to share with us, please do so, and Sarah's going to let you know how to share.
Thanks, Alan. Yeah, you can check us out on all of the podcast platforms. You can also check us out on social media, Facebook, Instagram, YouTube, and of course on Twitter at DoubleStuffP, and that's the letter P.
Sassafras.
Sassafras.
Sassafrasparilla, Vichyssoise,
Pfeffernüsse.